So welcome back to our coping skills lecture part 2. So we left off on how do I know which coping skills will work for me. So it is important to understand that coping skills look differently for different people and work differently based on the situation or circumstance. What works for your friend or your neighbor might not work for you, and vice versa. So that's important. So don't get stressed out or discouraged if you one coping skill like your friend likes to do, like let's say journaling. Um, they like to do that, but you just don't understand why journaling is so effective or it's not helping you. So it's okay. Everyone's different. Everyone has different tools they like to use for coping. So developing a group of effective coping skills may mean learning more about yourself and getting curious about what helps you and what doesn't. Often we have to go through some trial and error to figure out which coping skills work best for you. So this can mean exploring lots of different ways of dealing with various situations and holding on to the ones that work and throwing out the ones that don't. It also means testing out new coping skills in less intense situations before testing them out in more intense situations. So meaning like when testing, so if you're trying to see if this coping skill works, maybe try it out in a less intense situation. So like if let's say you're stressed about not getting enough sleep. So maybe testing out maybe try taking a nap and testing out and see if music maybe listening to music and see if that works. And maybe if it works for you, like taking a short little nap with using music to calm you down if you're having trouble sleeping, then maybe go for the big test and have it tested out like at night when you're going to bed. So that's an example. So how to develop the coping skills. So look at how you effectively cope with stressors and effective ways others cope with the stressors. So kind of just take inventory of yourself and look and observe others how they're coping with their stress, and kind of discovers like, okay, what works, what doesn't. Like, does mindfulness work for me, or does meditation work for me, or no, it doesn't, or journaling. So just kind of thinking up of those. Make a list of effective coping skills that you could do in response to particular stressors. So again, there's some stressors, coping skills that work better with some stressors than others. So that's kind of like your job to figure out which ones those are. Choose some effective coping skills that you could realistically employ. So don't try to set yourself up with a big goal that say, oh, I'm going to meditate for an hour. It's like maybe not start that big of a goal if you have trouble focusing. Maybe start like with a small, okay, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes and see how that works. And then it's like, okay, maybe I'll add on now, and I'll add on. So just do something like that. Practice using the coping skill. I know it sounds silly, but it does practice does help you become more used to it. So visualizing yourself employing a particular coping skill can help you use the skill when the stressor presents itself. And if none of this works, maybe find a trusted therapist to speak about your difficulty coping. So maybe you can brainstorm with the therapist about some coping skills for you. Improving coping skills. So if you already have a set of coping skills, but you feel like you need more of an improvement or they're just not working right, so this is what you could do. So once you know what your stressors are and how you cope, you can start to improve your skills. So becoming aware of how you cope is the first step to improving your overall coping skills. So only then you can determine how effective your coping skills is and how to improve your overall skills. So I'll stop right there before I go into deeper, and I'll talk about it more in our next section.